so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle. This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder Podcast.
Hey, everybody, welcome. We're sorry I'm a little bit late. We've had some technical difficulties, all on my end, and I apologize for that. We are here. It's Friday, June 5, right? June 5, 2020. And it is a great day. It's always a great day, but this is episode 103, and this is 3. This is Real Estate Talk, TGIF. And we have the great Michael Chu with us today, 10-time karate champion. But I want to ask Michael Chu the most important question that I ask everybody to start every show. Do you know what TGIF stands for, Michael?
I don't.
Good.
I can guess, but I don't know what it stands for with you.
Well, it stands for Thank God It's Finale. So usually it's Friday, and it is Friday, so it's kind of one of the reasons I decided to do this on Friday. Actually, it just kind of worked. We're in episode 103. We've been on the air. We've done these for 101 weeks in a row. Awesome. I'm honored for all the people that have been on it. And Michael, as we spoke earlier in the week, I've seen you several times. You've spoken to my group a couple of times, and I've been in awe of everything that you've talked about. And we're going to get into some of that now. So, Michael, you're a 10-time national karate champion. You have a coaching business. You're a health and wealth coach. Talk to me about, tell everybody of your life coming through being a karate champion and how that transformed you into the great business and life and wealth and health coach you are today.
Yeah, sure. Well, honored to be here. Excited to chat a little bit here, Dave, with you on Friday. So I got into business when I was 19. I got into my first sales job. I was training for a national championship that summer, and so I needed to make money still, but I also needed flexibility and everything like that. And so I stumbled upon a sales job out of an ad out of a newspaper. Why it worked for me is it gave me the flexibility, but an opportunity to make money. But I never thought I'd be good at in business, at sales. At the time, I was actually quite shy. But taking my background in martial arts has helped me be patient and figuring out the skills and what it takes to win in business. And since then, I've had the chance to build and lead 3 different direct sales organizations to 7 figures and beyond. And so that's where I got kind of the foundation in the business world. And today, I'm the owner of Champion Development, and we help direct sales leaders, real estate agents, and entrepreneurs grow their business while getting into the best shape of their life without restrictive diets, working more, or burning out.
So you talk about it's all about health and wealth and putting it all together, and you're posting and the stuff you do is really, really cool, and I love it all. I mean, you talk about, one of the things you talk about is we talked about the other day is getting a better being a better version of yourself and getting fulfilled. Talk to me about one of the ways you try to transform people to having that fulfillment. Because I mean, honestly, for me, it's one of the things that I look for, and that's my goal in life, is to be fulfilled. And that takes a lot of accomplishments, et cetera, et cetera. Talk to me about that a little bit, if you would.
Sure. Well, for starters, growing up in the business world and getting exposed to personal growth, I think a lot of times the phrase I've heard it said, or the phrase I've used before, is a lot of times we get exposed to personal growth because of our profession, because of our career. But what ends up happening is a lot of times we end up becoming what I call prostitutes to personal growth. And what I'm referring to is, like, we start doing personal growth things if it's going to make us more money. And That doesn't always lead to more fulfillment. It just leads to more money. And so one of the first things we do is we make sure that personal health and personal growth is at the forefront of a business leader being the best version of themselves. So they're not winning in one area, but struggling in another area. When all ships rise with the tide and they're more congruent or more aligned across the board with who they are in their personal life and who they are in their business life, because at the end of the day, they're not actually 2 separate things. You're the same person in every category, in every bucket. You still show up there, So we make sure that we're not doing personal growth just to make more money. Our clients make more money, but we do it from the first forefront of when you're being your best on the inside and your physical body, emotionally and physically, it shows up on the outside in all the other areas of your life. Most people are living from the outside in, right? Like, when this happens, I'll be happy, right? But we make sure our clients are winning from the inside out, how they feel about their own body, how they feel emotionally, and that becomes a direct relation on the outside of what they create, both fulfillment-wise and financially.
Yeah, so you just said something that hits me a lot. I talk about with my students and coaching clients is when moments. You know, like you said, like, I'll be fine when this happens, or when this happens, I'll be able to do this, 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 and this.
Sure.
Talk to me about when moments and where, is there an easy way to transform from the when moments to the fulfilled moments, that you actually, instead of living the when moments, like when I get there, I'll do this. How do you actually live those no moments?
Sure. Yeah. So there's two sides to that. I'm sure there's other ways to look at it, but the two ways that I approach that and I find are most effective is, number one is, a lot of times when we're having that when moment type of attitude, we're operating from an energy of it would be so nice. I can't even imagine. And how many of you listening in have ever set a goal before? You acted all confident about it, all motivated, but internally you kind of felt like you were chasing that goal, right? You were going after that goal from a place of like, one day. I was talking to a client yesterday and he kind of joked. He's like, I never actually hit my goals. Now, I know there's the whole, like, if you're hitting your goals too often, you're thinking too small. I'm not talking about that. He was talking about the fact that he has an actual subconscious belief in his mind that he doesn't actually ever hit his goals. And that's because most of us operate around our goals with a chasing energy. Like, we're always chasing something. And most of you have probably noticed, if you've been in the business world for more than a couple of years, the longer you feel like you're always just chasing something, you can keep achieving more, achieving higher, earning more. It doesn't always equal more fulfillment. In fact, more times than not, you get to a higher level and you're like, is that it? And then sometimes there's the feeling of like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Can I really keep this going? And there's not that feeling of fulfillment. So the first thing is to shift your energy and how you chase goals from a place of chasing, and it must be nice, to more of a of course energy, right? And I would call that our floor, where there's this belief and there's this expectation. Of course I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Of course I'm going to make 6 figures this year. Of course I'm going to be debt free. And when you no longer feel like you're chasing something, it's just a part of who you are, you're no longer getting the happiness from the external result because it started within you first.
Right.
And then that leads to the second concept or shift, and that is, instead of when I achieve blank, I'll be happy, start with who you're being first. Like, imagine how you would feel and how you would be when you lose 30 pounds, when you make 6 figures. And you might be like, I'm excited, I'm passionate. Start being that version of yourself now. And not only will you attract those achievements to your life faster or with more certainty, but when you do achieve those things, there will be a much higher level of fulfillment that comes with it, because again, it started from the internal, not happiness from the external.
Yeah. So the interesting part of that is, okay, Michael, people are going to say, okay, all right, Michael, you can say that. You can say all you want about, you're going to start thinking about that. You're already there. But you know what? Isn't that easier said than done? I mean, playing devil's advocate, yeah. Okay, fine, great. But isn't that devil's advocate thinking? I mean, thinking devil's advocate thinking, you're talking Pollyanna almost, right? In utopia. Tell me, what's the transition point? What's the switch? Everybody wants the switch. Everybody wants the get rich quick scheme. Everybody wants that silver bullet. What is it about this? What is it about that can help you? Is there a point? Is there a starting point? Is there a finishing point? Is there something you look for to feel that way? Because we're talking about feelings more or less, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, that's actually what I was going to say as you were asking the question. It does. It sounds like utopia. It sounds like for a long time, myself and many people included, a lot of the shit that's taught in the personal growth world sometimes has this like rah, woo-woo type feel. Like if I jump up and down and do affirmations, I'm going to be a millionaire. It's part of what I hate about the law of attraction and how it's taught. The law of attraction is taught very much from a place of like, if I think about it, a genie's going to arrive and I'm going to have a fucking house in front of me or whatever it is.
Right.
And so I agree with you. The shift that we're talking about, though, is, and when people experience this, they know that it's different. And what I mean by that is they can feel it here. And what I'm referring to is this simple concept. You never have to chase or try to achieve what you already are. And so it has more to do with this identity that you can just feel that that is who you are and who you're becoming. Because you never have to chase or try to achieve or try to become what you already are. The joke that I always tell people when I'm using that analogy is like, I don't have to wake up every morning and try to be Chinese, right? I don't have to try and be, it's just who I am. So imagine if being someone in optimal shape was just a part of who you are. Someone who's always receiving abundance of opportunities and thriving financially. Imagine if that's just a part of who you are. It's kind of like this, Dave. Why do most millionaires who win the lottery, that's how they became millionaires, why within 2 to 3 years statistically have most of them lost all the money and oftentimes are in a worse financial situation than when they started? Why is that?
You hear about that all the time.
Right, because if they don't, everybody thinks it's, oh, well, they just didn't have the strategy. Well, a lot of them hire financial planners and still F it up. Because if they don't identify that I am a millionaire, most of us have these upper limit triggers where we will self-sabotage the very things we are claiming that we want. And so if we're jumping up and down and saying we want it, it feels like Pollyanna, like you said, it feels like utopia. But when they can anchor something in as part of their identity and who they are,
right,
they can have lasting, sustainable transformation, shift, success, whatever it is that you want to call it. And what happens is there's these upper limit triggers that Gay Hendricks teaches in The Big Leap that causes someone, even though they are claiming they're going after success, to actually repel or self-sabotage the very success that we claim we want.
So we're talking conceptually, we're talking real work here, right?
Yeah.
We're talking belief systems, right? So you're always going to have people that have what we all call, here comes the 2-word phrase, limiting beliefs.
Sure.
Right? I mean, we grew up like, I mean, if anyone here and you are familiar with the book, The 4 Agreements, it talks about the agreements we've made through life, and this is how we are. I mean, I honestly believe it's the biggest problem that we have today in society, especially in our American and United States society, right? But with those limiting beliefs, there has to be a shift. Is it, and let me take it the next step. Let me take it to parallel it with health as well. So people lose all this weight, and then a few months later, they've gained it all back. It's because they haven't made a shift that this is what they are.
Yeah, that's a part of who they are. Absolutely.
Right? So, I mean, health-wise, you can train your body to eat if you follow a plan, right? And it's one of the things that I've been trying to do, and I've been really working hard on it to train my body, because I recently lost a bunch of weight, and I'm training my body to come back where my number was always like mid 190s, right? And if I got to 200, I say, oh shit, I got to do something, right? And then now I'm training it a lot less. And I watch myself every day of what's going on and what I'm eating and everything else. It's kind of a pain in the neck. So mind-wise, right? You know, so how do you, so I know what I'm watching. I'm writing down calories. I'm writing down what I'm eating. I'm writing down what my water is. All that I'm writing everything down, right? It's gotten to be habitual to me, right? Which is great. And I believe that I'm always going to be where I am today, but I have to watch it. What's the process with our mind and our mindset to say, you know, I'm Dave Finale. I am 62 years old, and that's who I am today.
So I think the question you're asking is, so we're talking about this conceptual side of it's just a part of who I am. But there's going to obviously be people that have limiting beliefs that like, all right, cool. So that's who I am, but then I lose the weight and I still gain it back on. So clearly that's not part of who I am. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
But the other day, I mean, one of the things you said, it's more than just a strategy.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you said. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah. And so strategy is key. However, knowledge and strategy is clearly not what everybody needs to get into great shape, make more money. If that was the case, everybody would be in the shape they want and making the money they want, because we live in the Google world. There's no lack of information. There's no lack of knowledge. Most of us, if anything, are over-consumed with information, and that in itself is causing a lack of clarity and a lack of certainty about what strategies will work best for us. But what I was referring to is when you first start with the identity first, you will find the answers, right? Seek and you will find. Right. And so if I believe deep down inside that I'm actually always not meant to be, but like my identity is that I'm always going to be a scrawny dude without much of the physique that I want, or I always believe that I'm going to have debt. And I grew up with this, like most of us have like these thermometers of level of success we feel comfortable achieving. It's like it's very subconscious. It's not, unfortunately, it's not like a video game where we can just see the bar. But like some of us grew up thinking that $60,000 a year was a lot of money. And it's kind of like a thermometer that we're subconsciously trained with. For some of us, Dave, like you said, it's a weight number on the scale. That's just kind of part of who we've been. And so the strategy is important, but if we don't completely, what I've been talking about already, challenge and rewire, if we want to call it that, the identity and how we view ourselves and work through those limiting beliefs, we will experience levels of success and we will revert back to what we're actually comfortable with. So we'll lose 20 pounds, but we're actually comfortable and identify with being more like around here. And that's why most people, right, will experience levels of success and then revert back to kind of how things have always been.
Right.
So the two things is, number one is to completely own the identity for you. You said a weight number of that is who you are. Even at 62 years old, I always weigh 180 instead of the 190. Like raising your standard, rewiring what that means. And then number two, finding the strategies and finding the answers to align with that standard. But in life, Dave, you know this, we don't get in life what we wish for. We don't get in life what we jump up and down and affirm. We don't get in life what we write down as goals. We get in life what we expect. And our expectations are driven by our beliefs. So if we believe, like for me, I had a limiting belief that Asian dudes are always kind of scrawny. They're not very muscular. Until I reworked that belief, I would make progress with my physical physique and then revert back to how I'd always been. Until I reworked that, I never really created the physique that, for me, I had wanted. Or in the business world, right? I grew up with a mom as a teacher and a lot of teachers in my family. So I didn't see super high income earning in my upbringing. And so I kind of believed at one time that 6 figures was a lot of money.
Right.
Anytime I made a little bit more than that, we would have a bad month the next month. Until I rewired that 100K a month is the base. 100K a month is my floor. And only until I have that, like, of course energy, like, yeah, of course I do 100K every month, instead of that chasing energy, like I was talking about, like, man, 100K is a lot of money. I got to chase that. You can chase it and achieve it, and you'll always fall back to your floor. But what we want to start to do is we want to start to take what we actually want in our lives and turn them into our floor, our foundation, our base, that has more of that, like, yeah, of course I'm 180 all the time. Of course I make 6 figures a month, whatever it is. So then you'll find the strategy.
No, I mean this is really freaking cool. I like how this works, and I can relate to the thought process, the idea, the mindset. I'll give you an example, right? So I play golf with the same guys all the time. Well, not lately, but and they would see something. My buddy, who's been playing a long time, really good golfer, he would make one change. He said, Dave, you got to do this with your hands, or Dave, you got to change your swing a little bit this way, right? For some reason, I don't know how, I don't know why, I'm able to make that adjustment immediately, and it is now habit. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah.
Right. So I look at life, and I look at my ability to lose weight, which I've always been able to do, but I always gain it back, not anymore. But I look at that one thing in particular all the time and says, I could do that. I could be able to change my mindset on anything, as Tony Robbins says, in a split second, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a belief that people have to understand in themselves, where it really, truly does help you if you're able to say, yeah, you know what? That's going to make it better. Because I want to play better golf because honestly, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I want my cost to stroke ratio to go up.
Yeah.
Right. I played somewhere the other day. It was really expensive. And somebody says, well, how you already have 7 shots. You got to keep going. I said, yeah, man, I got to get my cost to stroke ratio down.
For sure.
But I use that as an example because people can understand it. Right. So talk about, I mean, you're a health and wealth coach. So put that together for me and explain it to how people can see Michael Chu as you're working on health and then you're building wealth. And one of your things is champion development, 6 packs and 7 figures. Yeah. Talk to me about that, because that's really cool.
Yeah, that's just a cheesy tagline I came up with one day in my basement as I was starting the company. So it's not about a 6-pack. It's not about 7 figures. It's more about the mindset of 2 things. Part of why we created that tagline and we call it the Health and Wealth Academy is the first true mindset. And then I'll talk about the strategies of why it works. But the first mindset that most entrepreneurs, real estate agents, direct sales leaders, busy people have to work through is most of us have this belief about sacrifice, right? Like, to be successful, I got to sacrifice to get there. And while there's some truth to that, most of us operate with a scarcity attitude around the most important areas of our lives, right? A lot of times it's like, well, I could grow my business to multiple 6 figures, or I could start focusing on my family life, or I could get into great shape, but it's probably going to cost me a little bit of like revenue. And that is living in the world of or, right? Which is one or the other. Right. And the first mentality shift that one must commit to if they want to truly start leveling up and expanding in all of these areas is the abundance of and, right? I can have health and wealth. I can get into the best shape of my life and make more money. And just starting to talk that way, your brain starts to look for solutions, right? How can I get into the best shape of my life and make more money than I've ever made before without having to work more? And so the first thing is it starts with the attitude, which is why the cheesy tagline of 6 packs and 7 figures comes from. But it's more of a mindset. It's more of a lifestyle. It's more of an attitude. And then, Dave, before even reading the book, the foundation of our course, the foundation of our coaching, the foundation of our program is built on meta habits. And then if you've ever read Brendan Burchard's High Performance Habits, he drives these points home. And he talks about meta habits, how there are habits in life that we just do. And then there are human performance meta habits that when a human being is doing these habits, they directly impact all the other habits in our life. They make them better when we're doing them, or they make all the other habits worse when we're not doing them. The first 3 that he talks about of those meta habits are personal health, consistent self-reflection and accountability, and number 3, personal growth. And so in the Health and Wealth Academy, we believe at a foundation, if someone wants to make more, but without burning out, without working more necessarily, right. It all starts with who they're being first. So we help make sure people are winning with their health without any restrictive diets. They can travel the world and eat all the foods that they love, drink alcohol, etc., and still get into the best shape of their life sustainably.
You can do that?
Yeah, 100%. I eat donuts and ice cream every day.
I love you, man.
And pizza on a weekly basis. But for a while, for 8 years, I didn't think that was possible. I tried every diet in the world. I was vegan for a year and a half, 2 years after Tony Robbins' conference. I had done keto, I had done paleo, and none of those things were sustainable for a busy person. So I had to figure something out that actually worked with traveling 100,000 miles a year, working a ton of hours, not liking to cook and all those things. So anyways, we make sure that people are winning with their health first. Then we make sure that there's constant self-reflection on how they're getting better week in, week out. And then of course, making sure that they're growing personally. And so that's how we combine the health with the wealth side. We make sure that the human being themselves is seeing themselves in a bigger light. And then what do we just say? We get in life what we expect. When we see the world bigger, we expect more in our own lives. And then we teach strategies and things like that from there. But as you can tell, the strategies will figure themselves out type of guy.
Right.
If you get yourself worked out, everything else can expand from there.
So I have to look. So we're going to use myself as the guinea pig here for the discussion, if that's okay with you.
For sure.
I know that, as I said earlier, I alluded to earlier, that if I decide that I want to lose 10 pounds, I can lose 10 pounds.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in all honesty, why can't I, if I decide that I want to make $100,000 this month, why can't I make $100,000 this month?
Absolutely.
What holds one back? I just used myself as an example. I can do that. I can do anything it is around a house. I can accomplish anything. Shit, 2 weeks ago, I moved a shed 1 foot, right?
Sure.
So I can do anything I want to do, construction-wise, building-wise. I'm really good at that. But there's got to be a wall. And I'm going to tell you that I'm not unlike most people, right? So what do I do, or what can Michael Chu help me do to break the barrier of getting to the money end of it?
Sure.
Of health and wealth.
Sure. So we can talk about both sides. But on the wealth side, or either side, whether it's I want to lose 10 pounds this month or I want to make more money this month, the two things that come to mind when you ask that question are the two L's: leverage or limits. Leverage or limits, right? And so most of us want shit. I also I talk about it in our program. We call it the two W's. So let's start with the two W's first, then we'll go to the two L's. Most of us want things, but we don't evaluate what we're really willing to do. And that's the huge disconnect for most people, is we get really clear on what we want. We even talk about how badly we want it. But most people don't evaluate what we're really willing to do, what we're willing to make happen, what mountains we're willing to move to get there. And that's what comes down to the two L's. So first, you got to evaluate, how badly do I want it, and what am I really willing to do to make that happen? And then it goes to the two L's. And the two L's are leverage or limits. For most, they don't have enough leverage, like Tony Robbins might say, like you said, right? We don't have enough leverage about why we want and are willing to make that happen. We have an idea why we want it, but is there enough leverage to be willing to do whatever it takes to get there? For most, the leverage is not high enough. Or some people like, Mike, no, F you. Like, I'm super motivated. I know exactly why. I start with why, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't happen. And then I would go to the limits. So we were talking about the law of attraction, Dave, a second ago. Yep. And while the law of attraction is great, what I don't think the personal growth world, the success world, the business world talks about enough is the law of repulsion. And the two are in conflict of each other at all times. There's what we're trying to attract, but then there's these things that cause repulsion or self-sabotage of the very things we claim we want. And so why might those goals might not happen? I don't know if that was a full sentence. So, so when you tell yourself what you want to pay attention to, like subconsciously and mentally and emotionally, is what bubbles up for you when you talk about what you really want. Because I bet you have the rah-rah motivated side, but when I say what bubbles up for you, listen to that crosstalk. We all have it. The crosstalk is, I'm going to make more money this month. And then the crosstalk is the quiet voice that's like, you can't do that. You've never done that before. Can you really do that? Are you willing to work that hard? It's that self-doubt. And so to summarize this point, Law of repulsion comes into play when there's something we claim we really want, but we have a more strongly held desire or belief in direct conflict to that very thing. So for example, someone might say, I really want to get into a relationship this year. I want to be in an exclusive relationship. I'm ready for that. But they don't realize that subconsciously, deep down inside, they have a stronger desire for their independence.
Man, that's
Or somebody says, I want to make more money.
you inside my head, man.
Right? I want to make more money. But they don't recognize that subconsciously, deep down inside, they feel it. They have a stronger desire for comfort, or they want to have more freedom and take time off right now, or they have a stronger desire to spend more time with their family right now. That's in direct conflict to what they're saying that they want. And if we can identify what we're claiming we want and what's repelling it, that's where we feel like we're always like fighting for success versus letting it happen and flow. And we see some success and then we self-sabotage. We see some success and then self-sabotage. If we don't get clear on what those limiting beliefs are first, that cause self-sabotage and law of repulsion, which again, claiming we want something really badly, but having an internal belief or desire that's stronger. The belief might just simply be, you've never done that before. You can't do that. The desire might be, I just want more time off. And that desire is stronger. So it's really important to not just reflect, Dave, on the law of attraction,
right,
but to slow down and be willing to really reflect on what's causing you to repel the very things you claim you want.
I love that, man. I really love that. I'm just, I mean, like I said, I've seen you a couple of times. You've talked to our group a couple of times, and I've just been in awe. And now I'm even more in awe. I want to take. You're welcome. I want to take a shift here a little bit. I want to bring on my colleague, my good friend.
Oh man,
my brother. I'm going to bring on Sekou Pyle. And Sekou is
oh man,
Sekou is.
Oh no, big Mike.
Sekou is one of my personal heroes. And one of the greatest coaches that I've ever had the privilege and the pleasure to work with. Sekou, welcome to the broadcast.
What's up, Dave? First of all, thank you, Mike. I want to let you know, man. I have been preaching the gospel of your top 7 things to do in social media, man. I've gone forth.
I love it.
I love it too. I've been talking about it. Right.
I am a fan. I'd like to call myself a colleague of Michael Chu. I'm a martial artist myself. I admire your dedication, your training, your discipline. I admire the way that you can apply the concepts of the training and discipline to the mind, the psyche, the mindset. Mm-hmm. And you inspired me the other day. You put out a post that I think was absolutely on point. And you talked about how, people taking action now are, if we're doing the same thing to them that quote unquote to us, as they're taking up the mantle, it just inspired me. And I asked Dave, I was like, Dave, if it's okay, when I get on, I want to praise the work that we're doing in coaching. I want to praise the work that we're doing in growth and all of this stuff. And I'd like to be able to give you some props and praise for that, man. It's one thing to use your platform to just sort of talk about social justice and social media and this and that. It's another thing to take risks, right? And as colleagues, sometimes we don't even realize that we're not in congruency until we take a risk with our personal, with our thoughts and our perspectives on things. So originally, when I heard your broadcast, it was triggering me. I'm like, okay, but such and such, and I'm going back and forth in my head, and I'm thinking and I'm taking it personally. And I was like, you know what? That's the point.
Right.
That's the point. He's sharing a personal concept, and I'm supposed to hear it and process it personally. But the word that's there is process. right? And so as coaches, the three of us coaches on here, I'm going to take a stab in the dark that one of our biggest challenges is watching people not take action on what we suggest, what they pay for.
Yeah.
People pay thousands of dollars to be coached by folks like us, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, this one, that one, Cardone, but pay thousands of dollars, and then don't take any action, right? So your post the other day, and it was yesterday. I'm right.
The video I put up yesterday, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So your post inspired me, and so I dug deep, right? And so I hope that the people that I coach, I hope that one day one person will dig deep on something that I say the way that I feel like I've dug deep on this. Yeah. And I'd like to build on the concept and present to you that not only what you say is right and accurate, in addition to that, I think that it's okay to not take action on this. It's okay to not speak up. It's okay to not try to run to the front lines when you are joining today, when you're learning about what's going on with other folks, when you're learning about other people's pain. It's also okay to support in the back end. It's okay to support from behind. It's okay to any support is good support, right? And what was presented to me was that Stacey Abrams came on. She was on the news. You know, she was interviewed by somebody. I don't remember who it was. And they were like, well, why aren't you out protesting with the rest of them? She was like, I was out when this happened, and I was out when this happened, and I was out protesting when I was a student. I was out protesting when this happened. And she says, the one thing that I knew was that when the big names came out, the people who have been doing it forever, it took attention away from the actual scenario.
Right. And
when you spoke the other day, and I was like, and I'm all like my kids all want to go out and protest, and I'm of two minds of it, partially because I've been out there. Yeah. I know what tear gas feels like. I know what pepper spray feels like. I know what the truncheons feel like. I know what those shields feel like. I know what it feels like, and I want to shield my kids from it. And at the same time, that's their thunder. It's for all of us. And the biggest support that I could do is now I'm economically in a position to help. Now I'm socially in a position to help. Yeah. And now I've got connections with other coaches and other people around the world where my voice is a different voice from everyone else. So I really, really, really appreciated what you said, brother. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you to Dave Finale. You guys are using your platform in a way that up until very recently, I have not seen from this part of my world. The real estate business coaching, all of this part of the world is it ain't very left wing. Let me just tell you that now. I'm not going to say it's right, but it ain't very left wing. Sure. And you often don't get the kind of warmth from your colleagues and your peers that you would like. And so I am just open to the fact that people are open right now. That is perfect. And it makes a lot of sense for me. And so I say, thank you. Thank you.
You know, one of the things I'd like to add to that is that there's a lot of people out there that I've seen it. And I'm just going to tell you about me. And I've told you privately, I'm learning. And you know what, I don't know why, I don't know what God has put me in a position where I am today, and you know where I am, you know what I want, you know who I'm working with, right? And the interesting thing is that, I just had this desire to understand, and it's just like my mind has been turned a little upside down because it's like, holy crap, it's a feeling of shame, it's a feeling of exuberance. It's just like there's so many different feelings going on, but it's not that I understand it, and I don't think I ever will, but I'm going to continue to learn and educate myself, man. And I actually
best thing.
What's that?
This is the best thing. The best thing is that, look, and I there's a bunch of business stuff I want to talk about with Mike and with you, Dave.
Let's do that.
I consider sort of in my head, Mike is a friend in my head. He's a guru and what have you. David, you already know that I consider you my colleague, my coach, and what have you. I want to let you know just how deep what you said is. The depth of what you're saying is right up until this year, right? Up until this year, right? I would have never put my politics on my page. I would have never put my thoughts and my ideas on the page. I would have never talked about my pain and the fear on my page because I would lose people.
Can I speak
and the
to
fear
that?
was that I would lose people.
Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, what would you say? I'm sorry.
Can I speak to that real quick?
Please.
I think a lot of times in the business world, when we look at things logistically, just numbers, there's a feeling that less is less. Less equals less.
Mm-hmm.
One belief of mine that changed a couple of years ago that has made a major difference in my life is that less never has to equal less. Less oftentimes equals more. And so when people make actions out of fear or scarcity, they're just attracting more fear and scarcity. And so if they make a decision out of love, or make a decision out of truth, or make a decision out of courage, and even if it equals less logistically, like on numbers on paper, like, oh, I lost a few followers. If you're watching this and you feel that at all, I just want you to hear this message, and that is that less can almost always equal more. More of the right people, more of love in your universe now, more of raving fans, more of people that believe in you and buy into you and trust you. Right. And so just know that less doesn't always equal less, even though it might feel like that in the moment.
Dude, Mike, I literally took your love equation for communication.
Yeah.
I immediately began to, I was able to use it in my household. I mean, immediately, not like minutes later. I was talking to my daughter and my wife, and we were talking out a problem that she was having, or a challenge that she was having with a significant other. And I was just like, well, you know, if you're coming from a perspective of love, then that means that you are open to your point and their point. Yeah. You know, and it's simultaneous, and it's not just one or the other. You're not just trying to make them happy, or you're not trying to solve your, you know, ish.
Your shit, yeah.
Yeah, you know, right? So the importance of this coaching, the importance of leadership, less equals more. It even has a deeper connotation to this. Yeah, more quality. Yes, less quantity, more quality. Like the people that would leave because I said that, you know, we need accountability now from the police force, right? The people that would leave aren't willing to listen to me anyway. So
they never. Yeah.
Am I losing? So you know, unfortunately, we've reached a time. Michael has.
I have 5 more minutes, Dave. I have 5 more minutes.
Great.
Sorry.
So at one point, I'm going to shut up until we end it. Okay. Understand? I don't believe this is politics. I believe this is human beings.
Sure.
Okay. I don't believe this is politics. I don't believe in politics on social media. To me, it's not politics. Go.
Yeah, I'm with Roblox and more. I don't know who that is, but as a parent, they're torn between wanting their children to understand the power of protest by being there and protecting my children from having or getting a gun pointed at them with rubber bullets at the kid. That is my crux, man. I have been willing to sacrifice my life, but I'm willing to sacrifice my life for them. I don't want them to sacrifice their life for me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that my kids said, and then I'll shut up so that Mike can go, is that if I wait until I'm in the situation, then it's too late and my voice won't be heard.
Yeah. And
I'll just be a picture on a sign at the protest and not be a voice at the protest. And I mean, how do you argue with that? I'm like, okay. Yes, you're right. Let's go. You know.
Yeah. And Seiko, I think, and Dave, to start to tie up the conversation we had today, right? We talked about abundance mindset of and versus or, right? It's not, can I get into shape or make money? It's not, can I grow my business or it's how do I get into the best shape of my life? And I think the same thing goes here. If we want a message to be able to have all of its truth behind it, one thing doesn't have to equal no. One yes doesn't equal no. So it's like, if you're not going out actively in the streets, it doesn't automatically make Sekou someone who doesn't care. It doesn't make you a racist if you're not right. But that's how most people naturally at our most like our most primal like operation is we look at it from a place of scarcity and we put into buckets and we decide. And all my message was talking about yesterday is when you honor the concern of others, because what happened for me is I was watching this influencer for 6 days in a row now. That's all she talks about on her page. And I started to get triggered by it personally. And I was like, and I looked within myself first and I said, why am I feeling any way about this? And all my experiences with racism started to come up. And that's why I was attacking this girl on Instagram in my own heart and my own mind. And I simply asked myself the question, what is her concern right now? Mm. And then what is mine? And when I was able to do that, I said, maybe her concern is that she feels guilty about her choices over the last 10 years. Maybe her concern is that she has to do this to keep her brand. Whatever her concern is, I can compassionately at least honor what she's feeling, while also honoring the fact that I'm feeling a little triggered by that's all she's talking about now. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And when I was able to do that, I recognized that so many of us are doing that right now, right? So many of us are like, more people need to step up, but not that way. Or, but what you posted on, no, not like that. And it's just, if we can slow down and just look within ourselves first, why certain people's messages, posts, the way people are operating is triggering us, and allow the collective whole to come together and each of us do our own parts, there's more unity there than the division that we create from not that way, not that way. Come on, because all that's just our own personal shit. All that's just our own personal shit.
There's something that I've never said to you. You have a beautiful family, man. I appreciate the father that you are, and the friend that you've become in my head. How about that?
Thank you.
Dave?
So I unfortunately we have to wrap this up. Michael, thank you so much. This is
my pleasure, man.
I mean, I have a list of top 5 shows. This is definitely it, and this is 103. And I've learned so much. I really want to talk to you more. Let's talk offline next week if we could, please.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Michael, how do people get in touch with you so they can, talk to you about what's going on in their lives and maybe work with you? How do they do that?
Yeah, I mean, find me on Facebook, Michael Chu, my name down there at the bottom, or Instagram, Mike_Chu. You can find me that way as well. And then we have a free Facebook community where I do trainings and things like that called 6 Packs and 7 Figures. And we talk about a lot of these things. So.
I want to just, I've got my hat on here and say, you know why everybody comes on the show. They come on the show to get one of these hats. I don't know what it is. Michael contacted me last week. He said, I got to be on the show.
I got to get the hat.
So anyway, look, guys, he was on the show. He's going to get a note. He was on the show.
I like it.
We got great shows coming up. We got, believe it or not, we're supposed to have Brad Inman next week. We've got Michael Hellickson set up. We've got Jared James set up. We've got a couple other guys set up, and we're going to go forward and just keep doing this. Michael, thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Sekou, you can stay on for a minute if you like.
Sir.
Thank you so much, Michael. Have
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
God bless you. Thank you, man. Sekou, thank you for coming on and expressing all that stuff. We're still live. We went on a little late. I've had some technical difficulties with my MacBook, which doesn't want to work.
All of us have.
Right? Yeah, that's not nice. But anyway, so Sekou, real quick, what are you working on these days? You came on, you've been going morning, noon, and night.
Yeah.
Right. And
a lot of we've been putting in some time.
Right. You've been putting in some time where you start like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you then go, you have an 8 o'clock session. Just
at night, yeah.
Give a little thing about what you do with it.
We've been working pretty hard on this thing called commitment to capping. It's the idea that every agent out there can do a deal a day. Basically, I'm taking my very expensive, very exclusive deal a day program, and basically we're doing it in group format instead of doing it one-on-one. I see Israel, I see Tatiana, I see Danielle, I see Lou Ramos, I see all these people from the commitment to capping group commenting and things like that.
Right.
And those are only ones that I can see commenting. Right. So the idea is that there's a certain amount of time in every day that you can be obsessed with your business. And that obsession should lead you to one deal opportunity every single day. And instead of telling people, I'm just showing them. I'm showing them what we're doing. We start at 8, we end at 8. You know, we're all attached to our computers, so we're doing it from our computers.
Right.
And we're having a really great response. I got to say that these agents are a pack of wolves that are obsessed with their business. Badasses. There's the ladies from The Wire, Women in Real Estate. There's Athena Petway. There's agents that are focused on probate. There's agents that are focused on FSBOs, and it is amazing, and I appreciate all of them.
Yeah, it's great, man. I'm very fortunate, and thank you so much for allowing me to be involved in it and allowing me to say whatever I want. My objective has always been just to help people, and I take that and I couple that with my good friend Mark Stein's words: do good for others. And it's so apropos of what we're talking about this week and what's been going on over the, actually what's been going on forever. And you know what, I've heard you say something several times, and I'm not going to go into this. We both have places to go and people to see, but there's still the original sin issue, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and that is pretty interesting for me to actually say that and to understand it. And I don't know, maybe I've gone too deep right here. I don't know if I'm talking.
No, this is your forum, man. And I think that using your forum to go deep is put it this way, man. The fact that we're in this position, in this state of emergency right now, because people aren't talking. Because people aren't talking about shit. People aren't talking about the original sin of the country. People aren't talking about the fact that it's 450, 490 years, and then only the last 60 years of so-called equality. Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't think it's politics. I think it's real life, and
it's human. It is human rights.
I've seen some great things from some great friends of mine. And I've also, I don't know, there's just so much I can talk about. And I'm afraid if I say something's going to come out wrong, and I don't want it to come out wrong, because I don't know how or what, like I said before, I'm learning. But anyway, back to real estate. Look, you're doing great work. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of my broadcast today.
My brother.
You're always welcome to be on this. As you know, you're on this broadcast more than anybody else.
Wait, can I say this before I get the privilege of being on this with you, man? It is an honor and a privilege. And I'm growing so much just from the people that I keep meeting. The energy from Alan Greenspan, Michael Chu,
David Greenspan.
What did I say, Michael? I'm putting them together.
Alan Greenspan.
Alan Greenspan. No, that's the other dude. That's the head. David Greenspan, Michael Chu. Yeah, and listen, man, you get Alan Greenspan on here. Okay, let's make that happen. He's home just like everybody else, right?
You know what?
I've learned so much from the people, and I get so much from them, and I appreciate it, man.
I want to tell you, the people that I have on are great people. Why? Because when I ask, they say yes. And it's not that it's not that I think I'm anything special or whatever. I just keep asking them to come on. It's almost like sales. I don't think it's sales, but you know what? It's like the response I get. I've only had one person ask me to pay him to be on. Yeah, that happened this week, and it really pissed me off. He shall remain nameless, but he's from Texas. He's a big shot, or so he thinks. He likes to show his cars on social media. And he has 2 McLarens now. So, I'm not.
I hope it works out for him.
I hope it does too. I really do. But, I'm really proud of the work you do. I'm proud of the work I do. I'm proud of the work we do together. And anybody that's watching this that is working with us, thank you for giving us the opportunity. And thank everybody for watching this and giving me the opportunity to have this forum 101 weeks in a row. Thanks so much. Anything you want to say to end the show there? Say who?
Dave Finale is real estate royalty. Do what he does. TGIF. Thank God it's Finale.
Awesome, brother. We'll see you. Let me see if I can do this right now. Watch.
This is always the off before we get off.
Oh, I forgot to end it again.